They're leaning in.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified
Yeah.
of some kind of backlash. I mean, you see with Disney now. I mean, Disney, one of the most gay-friendly companies.
Welcome back to Pop Flash, and today's story is unlike anything you've heard before. Because according to rumors spreading like wildfire across Hollywood, Rachel Zegler might be done. Done with Disney, done with press tours, done with Hollywood itself. After months of backlash, delays, and intense public scrutiny, insiders say the Snow White remake is turning into a career-ending disaster, one Rachel reportedly wants no part of anymore. And get this, sources close to the situation claim Zegler has already begun quietly stepping away. Some even say the Snow White remake could be her last studio film for a very long time, maybe ever.
I say, if I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid every hour that it is streamed online.
But how did things spiral so badly? What pushed her from rising star to potential exile? And is Disney secretly relieved she's on the way out? Stick around, because what we're about to uncover might explain why Rachel Zegler is disappearing from the spotlight, and why the biggest studio in the world could be helping her do it. It all started as a fairy tale, literally. A young, talented actress lands the lead role in a live-action remake of Disney's beloved Snow White. On paper, it was supposed to be her breakout moment, the film that launched her into A-list fame. But instead, it became a public relations nightmare. First, there were the interviews.
I'm a narcissist. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
Rachel's dismissive comments about the original 1937 classic went viral. Fast. She called the prince a stalker. She said the old Snow White story was outdated and weird. And suddenly, that Cinderella moment turned very ugly. According to rumors, Disney executives were stunned by the backlash, and internally, they didn't know how to control it. With every new viral clip, fans turned colder. Moviegoers who once cheered for a bold new take on a classic were now calling for the entire project to be scrapped. And then came the delays, the re-edits, the reshoots. Some say Disney began rebuilding the film from the ground up, not because of creative vision, but because of sheer panic.
People have real problems and no one gives aid. So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general. If she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour.
Behind the scenes, tensions exploded. According to sources close to the production, Zegler was feeling the pressure. One insider even claimed she had a breakdown during filming, saying she didn't expect this level of backlash. It's breaking her down. And now, that breaking point might be here. Rumors say Rachel Zegler is no longer interested in being the face of the Snow White campaign. In fact, insiders suggest her team is trying to quietly step back from the film's upcoming press push, and maybe even fade out of Hollywood entirely. But why? Why leave now? Why step back from the spotlight when she's still in her 20s? What's really going on behind the scenes at Disney? And what does this mean for the future of Snow White? And for Rachel Zegler herself? Stay tuned, because this story is only getting wilder from here. What was supposed to be a magical reimagining turned into one of Disney's biggest PR disasters in years. And it didn't take long for things to fall apart. When Rachel Zegler was first announced as the new Snow White, the internet lit up. But not everyone was celebrating. While some praised the modern casting, others were confused by the direction Disney was taking. The backlash started quietly, but it didn't stay that way for long. Then came the interviews. In what should have been harmless promo appearances, Rachel made comments that, according to rumors, sent Disney execs into full damage control. She openly mocked the original film. She dismissed the love story. She said, "It's no longer 1937," and implied that Snow White didn't need a prince anymore. Social media exploded, and not in a good way. Clips went viral. People weren't just criticizing the film. They were calling Rachel arrogant, out of touch, and even disrespectful. Disney fans who grew up with the original Snow White felt betrayed. And then it got worse. The dwarfs were gone, replaced by what Disney called a diverse band of magical creatures. Photos from the set leaked, and fans were outraged. Some even accused Disney of turning the classic into a parody of itself. According to rumors, early test screenings didn't go well either. Viewers reportedly described the movie as confusing, preachy, and nothing like the original. Behind closed doors, executives started to panic. They delayed the release, Reshoots were ordered, but the damage had already been done. And at the center of it all was Rachel Zegler. By now, the pressure was building. And according to insiders, she was struggling to handle it. Behind the scenes, things were spiraling fast. According to rumors, Rachel Zegler wasn't prepared for the sheer scale of the backlash. What started as criticism online quickly turned into a full-blown movement. Hashtags demanding her removal trended weekly. Comment sections were brutal. Memes mocking her interviews were everywhere. And it wasn't just trolls. Even longtime Disney fans were turning against her. Insiders claimed that by mid-production, Rachel was emotionally drained. One person close to the set allegedly said she was crying between takes. She didn't understand how it got this bad. Another added that she became distant, skipping media training sessions and avoiding conversations with the crew. According to rumors, her team began shielding her from headlines, filtering what she saw, managing her socials, and trying to silence the noise. But the pressure? It was already doing damage. Her red carpet appearances became less frequent. Her once bubbly energy in interviews? Gone. Fans noticed the shift and speculated whether she regretted taking the role at all. Behind closed doors, things got even darker. Some reports say Rachel even considered quitting the film mid-shoot. Disney allegedly convinced her to stay, but only after making major script changes and cutting down her controversial lines. Others say she was already planning her exit from the industry entirely, long before filming even wrapped. If that's true, then Snow White might not just be her most controversial role yet, it could be her final one. While the public drama unfolded in front of the cameras, something even more telling was happening behind the scenes. Disney was going quiet. According to rumors, the studio had already started pulling back from Rachel. Not with announcements, but with subtle moves that insiders say were impossible to ignore. First came the press tour cancellations. Rachel, once expected to be the face of the film's massive promotional campaign, was suddenly missing. Scheduled appearances were quietly dropped. Magazine covers and interviews that were supposed to feature her reassigned. Rumors say Disney didn't want to risk another viral moment, not after the last few had backfired so badly. Then came the marketing shift. New promotional posters and trailers began focusing less on Rachel and more on the ensemble. The prince, the magical creatures, the world building, anything but her. Some fans even pointed out that in newer materials, her face was barely shown. It was like Disney was slowly removing her from her own film. According to industry sources, Disney is doing this on purpose, trying to soft fade Rachel out of the spotlight without creating more drama. One insider said, "They're distancing themselves, but quietly. They don't want more headlines. They just want this film to disappear." And here's the kicker. It might not even be about damage control anymore. Some believe Disney is preparing for a future where Rachel Zegler isn't part of the brand at all. No merchandise deals, no follow-ups, no major appearances at premieres, just a quiet, clean break. But if Disney is cutting her off and Rachel's ready to leave the industry, then what happens next? What does this mean for her career? And is this really the end of her Hollywood story? Stick around, because what we're hearing next changes everything. As the Snow White chaos drags on, a haunting question keeps echoing through Hollywood. Is this Rachel Zegler's final role? According to rumors, multiple insiders now believe that Rachel has no plans to return to the spotlight once the Snow White remake is released. Or, if Disney continues delaying it, maybe not at all. One source allegedly close to her team said, "Rachel's exhausted. She never wanted to be the face of this kind of controversy. This isn't what she signed up for." And the signs are all there. She's reportedly turned down multiple new offers, including roles in big-budget series, brand campaigns, and even streaming projects. These weren't small deals. We're talking about projects that would have catapulted her into long-term franchise fame. But instead, silence. According to rumors, Rachel's agents are already reshaping her image, not for another blockbuster, but for something very different. Some say she's looking to pivot into theater. Others claim she's interested in going back to music, focusing on low-profile creative work instead of Hollywood glitz. A few have even hinted that she might leave the country altogether, pulling back from the spotlight to reset, reflect, and rebuild. It's not just career fatigue. Insiders suggest this may be about survival. After being cast as the next Disney princess, she was thrown into a firestorm she never expected, and definitely never wanted. Critics went after her personality, fans scrutinized her every word, and worst of all, it wasn't just the press dragging her, it was the very audience she thought she was making this film for. If the rumors are true, then Snow White isn't just her most controversial role, it's her final curtain call. But here's where it gets even more intense, because Rachel stepping away might not be her decision alone. What if Disney wants her out too? And what if the backlash got so bad that the studio started planning her exit months ago? We'll break down those explosive claims in the next part, where things take a shocking turn. The plot thickens, and things are getting even more explosive. While the public narrative points to mounting controversy and personal burnout, rumors say there's an even darker twist behind the scenes. Could it be that Rachel wasn't just overwhelmed, but was, in fact, quietly pushed out by Disney? Industry insiders claim that deep within the studio's boardroom, whispers had been circulating long before the first backlash hit social media. According to rumors, high-level executives were questioning not only her choice of words in interviews, but her overall image. The studio, it said, was concerned that the escalating controversy would tarnish its legacy, and so began what some describe as a silent purge. One insider revealed there were discreet memos and hushed phone calls. People in suits were discussing how to let her fade away without the media catching on. If true, this wasn't a standard case of talent burning out. It was a calculated decision from the top. Rumors say that the decision was made behind closed doors, with the intent to restore the studio's image while offering the actress a graceful exit. The marketing strategy supports this theory. Observe the subtle disappearance of Rachel's image from recent promotions. Her face is nearly missing from posters, trailers, and press kits. According to rumors, every frame she appeared in was being scrubbed from Disney's narrative, almost as if they were erasing her presence piece by piece. And then there are the contractual clues. Some say that internal documents hinted at an exit clause, activated when controversies reached a certain tipping point. It appears that once the flames of public discontent grew too bright, the studio had a prearranged escape plan, a way to cut ties without splintering the company's carefully managed brand. But here's what really leaves us questioning. If Disney quietly engineered her downfall, what did that mean for her? Was she forced into taking a backseat on her own career? And more importantly for fans, does this reveal that Snow White wasn't just her final role by choice, but by design? Rumors say that behind every major scandal, there's a web of secrets. And the whispers now suggest that this entire debacle might have been orchestrated long before the cameras started rolling. Was Rachel really in control of the narrative? Or was the fate of her career sealed by a cold, strategic decision made in boardrooms far from the spotlight? Stay tuned, because the next part dives even deeper into the labyrinth of corporate power plays and the emotional toll it took on her, where we explore exactly what happened to her image, her contracts, and her very place in Hollywood. So now we're here, in the smoldering aftermath of a Disney disaster that no one saw coming. What was once hyped as a magical reimagining turned into a slow-motion train wreck. And at the center of it all, Rachel Zegler, a rising star who, according to rumors, was cheered into the spotlight, only to be quietly pushed off stage when the lights got too bright. Disney's silence speaks volumes. No public apology, no defense, no grand gesture to win back the fans. Just a strategic pullback, letting the controversy fade while they try to clean up the mess behind closed doors. As for Rachel, her story might be unfinished, but it's undoubtedly changed. From Golden Girl to the face of a PR disaster. And now, possibly walking away from Hollywood altogether. And that leaves one burning question. Was this the end of her career? Or just the beginning of a whole new chapter? Only time will tell. But one thing's clear. In the world of Hollywood, fairy tales don't always end with a happily ever after.